He was literally immersed in nature. No other artist in the Renaissance really showed that much interest in the natural world and the surrounding world.
For over 500 years, Leonardo da Vinci has remained one of the most mysterious geniuses in human history. He painted the Mona Lisa, designed flying machines centuries before airplanes, and studied the human body in secret dissections that were forbidden in his time. But even though his notebooks and inventions revealed incredible talent, no one could ever explain why he was so different. What made Leonardo's mind so powerful and his imagination so limitless? Recently, scientists took a bold step to answer that question. By tracing his family tree and using DNA from his living relatives, they managed to reconstruct parts of Leonardo's own genetic code. What they discovered inside that DNA shocked the world, revealing clues that could explain his rare genius, physical strength, and even his strange habits that baffled historians for centuries. Leonardo's story began in 1452 in the small Italian town of Vinci, near Florence. He was born out of wedlock to a young peasant woman named Caterina and a wealthy notary, Ser Piero da Vinci. Because of his birth status, he was taken away from his mother at a young age and raised by his father's family. This separation made tracing his mother's bloodline almost impossible, since she left no family records behind. For centuries, that made it difficult for historians to find any living descendants. Leonardo had no children, no siblings who continued his direct line, and his burial site was lost when his original chapel was destroyed during the French Revolution. For a long time, scientists believed his DNA was gone forever, but modern researchers refused to give up. They began searching through old archives and family records, hoping to find men who still carried the Da Vinci name, distant relatives whose DNA could preserve pieces of Leonardo's genetic legacy. Two Italian historians, Alessandro Vezzosi and Agni Zabato, spent over 10 years on this extraordinary investigation. They dug through church archives, birth and marriage documents, and ancient tax papers, some written nearly 700 years ago. Their goal was to map Leonardo's entire family tree, and their efforts finally paid off. They found 14 living men across Italy who shared Leonardo's paternal bloodline. These men came from different walks of life. Some were blacksmiths, some office workers, one even an artist, but they all carried the same Y chromosome passed down from father to son through 25 generations. That Y chromosome provided the missing key to unlock Leonardo's genetic code. When scientists sequenced these samples, they discovered something remarkable. Not only did Leonardo's genetic material survive through the centuries, but it also contained signs of rare biological traits that matched his legendary abilities. The sequencing results suggested that Leonardo may have been born with a unique combination of physical and mental gifts, traits that helped shape him into one of the most extraordinary minds in history. The first major surprise came when scientists analyzed genetic markers linked to vision and spatial intelligence. Leonardo's DNA showed evidence of genes related to superior visual processing, the ability to notice the smallest details and see patterns others miss. This finding supported centuries of speculation about why he could draw anatomy with such accuracy or design machines that would not be possible until modern times. His brain, it seems, may have literally processed visual information differently from an average person. The DNA analysis also showed possible genetic traits connected to synesthesia, a condition where senses mix together, like hearing colors or seeing sounds. Leonardo often wrote about how he felt music in colors or saw mathematical forms in his mind, something modern science recognizes as a unique neurological phenomenon. These traits could explain his unmatched creativity, the ability to connect art, science, and imagination in ways that no one before him could. But the discoveries did not stop there. As scientists continued to explore Leonardo's reconstructed DNA, they found evidence of physical traits that contradicted some historical portraits. Genetic predictions suggested that Leonardo may have had heterochromia, a rare condition where each eye has a different color, one green, one brown. This could have given him special depth perception, helping him understand perspective better than any artist of his time. The DNA also pointed to natural left-handedness and enhanced fine motor control, traits that fit perfectly with his reputation as an ambidextrous artist who could write with one hand while drawing with the other. His hair was likely reddish-brown with natural curls, and his height may have reached around 6 feet, unusually tall for the 15th century. His genes also revealed signs of exceptional immunity and resistance to common diseases. Leonardo lived to the age of 67, an impressive lifespan for that period, especially for someone who handled cadavers and worked in poor laboratory conditions. Scientists believe his DNA carried rare mutations that strengthened his immune system and helped him recover from illnesses faster than others. These genetic findings opened the door to even more astonishing historical revelations. According to several historians, secret Vatican documents once mentioned Leonardo's forbidden studies about life and death, research that was considered dangerous by the Church. When scientists matched DNA traces found on certain old manuscripts stored in Vatican archives, they discovered fingerprints and skin cells consistent with the reconstructed Da Vinci genetic profile. Inside those manuscripts were writings never seen by the public, reports describing Leonardo's experiments on the boundary between life and death. He recorded the final moments of dying patients, noting how their breathing slowed, how their pupils changed, and how their expressions shifted. He called this the departure pattern. Some of his notes even described reviving recently deceased bodies for short moments to study the process of consciousness leaving the body. The Church feared these writings would challenge religious beliefs about the soul, so they were locked away for centuries. But with DNA verification, it now appears that these papers truly belonged to Leonardo, giving us a glimpse of just how far his curiosity reached. If these reports are accurate, Leonardo may have been the first person in history to scientifically study the nature of consciousness. His mind worked in ways that separated emotion from observation, something scientists now believe was partly due to his genetic wiring. Certain DNA markers linked to compartmentalized thinking appeared in his reconstructed genome. This rare mental trait allows a person to separate emotional reactions from logical thought, making it possible to study sensitive or frightening subjects objectively. It could explain why Leonardo was able to perform dissections, study death, and explore controversial ideas without fear. While most people of his time saw death as a divine mystery, he treated it as a process that could be measured, observed, and understood. This combination of fearless curiosity and extraordinary intelligence made him not just a great artist, but a true scientist, centuries ahead of his time. Another stunning revelation came from Leonardo's journals about disease and immunity. During his lifetime, plague outbreaks killed millions across Europe, yet Leonardo seemed untouched. The new DNA research revealed why his genes contained rare immune system mutations that may have made him naturally resistant to bacterial infections like the plague. Scientists also found genetic markers related to superior wound healing and detoxification, traits that helped his body repair itself quickly and resist poisoning. Historical notes show that Leonardo studied the spread of diseases, drawing maps of infection patterns that look surprisingly similar to modern epidemiology charts. He even suggested early forms of quarantine and hygiene long before germ theory existed. With his immunity and sharp observation, he may have become one of history's first disease researchers, centuries before medicine caught up to his insights. When researchers finished analyzing Leonardo's reconstructed genome, they found something even more extraordinary. His DNA appeared to contain a collection of rare beneficial mutations that almost never occur together in one person. These included genes linked to high cognitive flexibility, rapid learning, enhanced memory retention, and efficient sleep cycles. Leonardo reportedly worked day and night, often resting in short naps, something that matches genetic patterns seen in people with short sleep mutations, who need far less rest than normal. His brain may also have aged more slowly than most people's, maintaining plasticity, the ability to form new neural connections well into old age. Scientists believe this combination of traits created what they called a biological perfect storm. explaining how Leonardo could master so many disciplines: painting, engineering, anatomy, architecture, and mathematics, all without formal education, in most of them, perhaps. The most fascinating part of this discovery is what it means for modern science. By studying the genetic traits that made Leonardo unique, researchers hope to better understand the biology of creativity, intelligence, and even mental resilience. If we can identify what made his brain so adaptable, it could lead to breakthroughs in education, medicine, and neuroscience. Imagine treatments that keep the brain learning and creating late into life, or therapies that enhance focus and imagination in children. Leonardo's DNA might hold the key to unlocking human potential, showing us that genius isn't just about talent or environment, but also about how our biology shapes the way we think and see the world. Even with all the shocking discoveries, the story of Leonardo da Vinci's DNA is far from over. In fact, many scientists believe that what has been revealed so far is only the beginning. The genetic information reconstructed from his relatives provides a partial picture, a glimpse into what made him special, but not the complete truth. To truly unlock his biological code, researchers are now turning to a surprising new source: the pages of Leonardo's own notebooks. These priceless manuscripts, written between 1480 and 1519, still contain tiny traces of organic material, hair fragments, sweat, and even dried saliva from when he licked his brushes or turned pages with his fingers. With advanced forensic technology, it's now possible to extract ancient DNA from such microscopic evidence. Several labs in Italy and France have begun carefully collecting samples from Leonardo's original notebooks, using non-destructive techniques that preserve the paper while identifying invisible biological traces. If successful, this would allow scientists to build a more complete genetic sequence of the artist himself, not just through his descendants, but through his direct biological remains. This approach has already produced some astonishing early results. In 2023, a French team working at the Château d'Amboise, where Leonardo spent his final years, discovered microscopic traces of hair in the tomb traditionally believed to hold his remains. These fragments were compared with DNA from the modern Da Vinci relatives, and the match was nearly perfect. This finding reignited debate over whether Leonardo's bones, long thought to be lost, might actually still rest in that tomb. If future tests confirm this connection, it could lead to the first direct sequencing of Leonardo's own genome, a discovery that would rewrite everything we know about historical genetics. Scientists could study his genetic age, health conditions, diet, and even physical appearance with astonishing accuracy. They could also analyze the DNA of bacteria or pollen preserved in his remains, offering clues about his environment, lifestyle, and even what materials he used in his paintings. It would be like opening a biological time capsule from the 15th century. The potential of this research goes far beyond curiosity. If Leonardo's DNA contains unique genetic patterns related to creativity or intelligence, they could help modern scientists understand how these traits evolve. Some researchers from the University of Florence have already begun comparing Leonardo's reconstructed genome to databases of modern geniuses and polymaths, people with exceptional problem-solving or artistic abilities. The goal is to see whether certain brain-related gene combinations appear more frequently among highly creative individuals. This could eventually lead to breakthroughs in neuroscience, showing how the structure of the brain connects with the ability to imagine and invent. Of course, this idea also raises deep ethical questions. Should science ever try to replicate the genetic patterns of genius? Could future generations attempt to engineer creativity through DNA manipulation? While most experts agree that such a goal would be unethical, the very possibility shows how powerful Leonardo's genetic story has become. His DNA might not only explain genius, it could challenge humanity's understanding of what it means to be a genius. Historians, too, are rethinking Leonardo's legacy in light of these discoveries. For centuries, his genius was seen as purely mysterious, a divine gift that could not be explained by logic or biology. But DNA research suggests that even the greatest minds are shaped by a combination of nature and nurture. Leonardo's environment, his access to Florence's workshops, his exposure to mathematics and art, his curiosity about nature, certainly helped